This is the Harmonic Motion Podcast, a place where you, dear listener, can join with automotive aftermarket professionals as they delve into and discuss the matters which matter.
So, I'm delighted on this episode of the Harmonic Motion Podcast to welcome my good friend, Mr. David Massey of ADS Automotive up in Preston. David has got a very interesting history of being in the automotive trade, and he's got some really good views on a number of different subject matters. So I'm delighted to welcome David to the studio, and he and I are going to kick around a few different topic subject areas, which may be important to you out there in garage land or technician land. And I'd like to welcome you formally then, David, to the Harmonic Motion Podcast.
James, first of all, it is I who was delighted. I'm absolutely honoured, privileged to be invited on your show. What is the hottest ticket in town at the moment? All things automotive. So thank you, and welcome to our listeners and our guests.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, David. Yeah, we've been trying to get this on for a little bit, what with, the busyness of life getting in the way, and I'm delighted that we've managed to synchronise diaries, and today is the day, so I'm very, very excited.
Me too. Me too, mate. Me too.
Cool stuff. So, David, for what I was going to start with, for anyone that didn't know you, was to maybe think if you could share the origin story of Mr. David Massey with our audience, to give a sort of potted history of who you are, what you've done, and what's led you to be where you are today.
That's an excellent question. Thank you very much. Well, my name is David Massey. I am the son of the very famous and well-respected, and rightly so, Frank and Gene Massey, who were two legends and powerhouses in the industry. Frank, you know all too well, as your sparring partner and technical colleague. Your roots go back to the days of Krypton down in Bridgestone. In fact, I've got a photograph at work and on my phone, it's in my favourites, of you, Clive Atho, and my dad. And that was when you used to run it was like the equivalent of Top Technician back in the late 80s, for the mid-80s.
Yeah, yes, it was. Yeah, it was.
How far ago was it? Quite a long time. You're very young.
I was very young with no grey hair. Yeah, it would have been the late 80s, 89, 90. It would have been about that sort of time.
Yeah, about that. So you've known my dad for a very, very long time. I got introduced into the business when I left school, on and off. So I've very much grown up in and around the garage industry. I've been very, very privileged to be a part of Frank and Gene's journey with the training, the auto inform, the events, the exposure to a wider audience in the country. The training, obviously, when you've got someone like Frank is your dad, and you've got access to all the knowledge, and a kind of a very, very fortuitous position to be in, and a great platform to be able to springboard my career into what we're doing now. When I started, I'm 42 now. I had to count then. I'm 42 now. I've been doing this since I was 16. I fell in and out of love with it. I've been through different parts of the journey. Some of it's been arduous. Some of it's been hard work. Some of it's been brilliant. A roller coaster of emotions involved. A lot of strain on family. Let's put it that way. Which we managed to get through, and we're doing all right at the minute. I've worked in the garage since I was an apprentice, so I've been apprenticeship with my dad. Started getting involved with performance and tuning cars, I'd say in the late 90s, 97, 98 onwards. P and R Edge cars were just coming out, like 97, 98. I spent a lot of time with Clive down in Norwich, and he got me hooked on tuning cars, and I waited to go down that road onto the performance, the Gucci side. Dad was very much into scopes, wiggly lines, and all that kind of stuff. So I've tried to amalgamate both skill sets into what we do today at ADS. A rich history of proud workmanship. My dad came from an aerospace engineering background, so he had a very, very fastidious approach to engineering and building. The work we did was very similar, if you will, parallels to the aircraft engineering industry. I was very lucky in that sense. So yeah, colourful past, an interesting one to say the least. Been through lots of ups and downs in business, and no doubt we'll get into that in more detail throughout the podcast.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, and as you say, what an ideal position to be in there, son of Frank, David, and having that level of mentorship, I suppose, from dad. It's very awfully challenging. We're at the Blend recently and hearing, Tom Cockin's story about working with dad.
Yeah, very emotional, very, very touching.
Very touching, very emotional. It is a big challenge and strain on the relationship. Working with family, we've had my daughter here, as you know, doing the digital marketing, and
she's doing a great job.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's very interesting, isn't it, that the relationship in and out of work, because you're flicking. And of course, I work with Bev for all the time that Technical Topics has been out there. We've got Bev in the business as well, so it presents its own set of challenges, but equally, there's nothing more solid than that family bond about, trust and endeavour and shared direction. It's got its strengths and its weaknesses, I would say, to be fair.
Well, yeah, very much so. I mean, I know you as a friend as well as professionally, and I know what makes you tick. And you are a proud man, a provider, similar to I. And everything we do is for our families, and that's if you keep your principles simple and aligned, and you stay true to your ethos, you won't go far wrong in life. And family, for me, and we'll talk about this in great depth, but family to me, my own family, my direct family, my wife, my 2 children, are my driving force. It's why I get out of bed in the morning. I'm very proud to go to work and provide and protect them. Magda no longer works. She's at home with the kids and taking care of the home. So it's a much happier place to be in. And it's up to me to provide a roof over our head and keep the wolf from the door. It gives me a great sense of pride to do so. It's everything what we're all about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's such a mission, such an honourable mission. I think we were the same when my children were young. We had the benefit of Bev giving up work when we started the family, and then that was part of, again, as the driving mission for her to be taking the big burden of parenting, of course, and giving up work and really supporting our children's development. And I truly believe, our kids turned out pretty well. And I'm pretty sure, Bev sacrificed her own career for, the family unit. It's up for me to go and, bust my tripe to earn a living. But, there's a huge part to play in the responsibility of the, in this case, the mum in the relationship to look after the kids. And they did immensely well, because of it. So teamwork in its ultimate essence, I think, the working and family relationship between man and wife is awesome.
The transition it wasn't necessarily smooth and easy. It was a great idea and suggestion that Magda gives up a job and takes care of the kids in the house. But the actual transition, call it a power transition, if you will, because Magda's always had a great career. She's gone out and worked, and she had a fantastic career. But Magda's such a perfectionist. She wanted to be the best at everything, the best at a job, the best mother, the best wife. And I think the pressure on modern families, women in particular, is unsustainable. I think it's unfair. I really do. I'm a bit of a patriarch at heart, really, and I'm a very firm believer in old-fashioned values. And I'm not a huge fan of the way society's going, the pressure being put on modern families, again, especially young mothers. I think it's more important now more than ever we take care of ourselves and take care of our families. But there's that balance, striking that balance where Magda stopped working, and it was a lot of pressure, a lot of kind of feeling our way through it, but I think we're at a place now where we've got the balance right. We respect one another, each other's roles in life, and it's a much more harmonious place. I have to say, it's well worth it.
Yeah, you're making some good points there about the power transition, and partly that society's view on women that don't work, that are stay-at-home mums that are doing such an immense job in terms of leading and guiding our young families to be the best sort of version of people they can be. And
absolutely,
I don't know about you, but I felt really privileged to be able to, in a way, if you think about a lot of modern families, the pressure on having 2 wages coming into the house to be able to sustain the standard of living, and maybe not just the standard of living, to run a car, to run the house, to run all that stuff, it's taking 2 wages. And a lot of people don't have that option, to be able to do it. So I for one, felt really privileged to get myself in a position to be able to do that. But still, on the flip side, people often looked at, I don't suppose overtly, but you get that feeling they're looking at the stay-at-home mum as if that's a cushy job. And I tell you what, every day of the week, I would never, ever, I would find it very difficult to swap. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I wouldn't dream of saying that. It'd be like baptising a cat. I mean, to help the transition, you and I had a discussion last week on the phone when we had a catch-up, and I think a lot of it has been giving our heads a wobble. And I was discussing about that big shiny car with 2 turbos and leather seats and fancy dashboard that all lit up, and it was great. And I had a shiny new car, and I was thinking to myself, think about it a minute. Why do I really need this shiny new car that's got loads of turbos and runs off dolphins? I don't know. It's ridiculous. So I'm back in my old car, which won't seem to die, which I've had for about 1,000 years. I think you said, you cracked me up. You said if there's nuclear fallout, there'll be cockroaches and 1.9 PDs running around. So I've got the old Passat. We've adjusted our lifestyle. We've had to swap champagne for Carver, but we're surviving. We don't go out quite as much, but we do spend a lot of time together. We spend a lot of time out in wilderness. We do a lot of cold water swimming, a lot of time in the lakes, camping. But yeah, it's just been a lifestyle, but we feel it's for the better.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, congratulations for getting to that position. It does take a certain level of introspection and also stepping away from. There's a lot of me too. There's a lot of pressure to be a certain. And I speak with social media in a way, of having that profile or competing or being seen in that zone. I laugh like a drain. I go out on my bike all the time, and I've got a 2004 Citroen Berlingo that I've had since the day we had it shortly after it was new, and it's hanging, but it's old and reliable. And I see people turning up with, super duper, the latest bike and this new custom built van with a pull out tray, and going, it would be lovely. But in terms of priorities, I often look over and go, your life must be so well sorted that you've managed to achieve everything else and that. And, heart of heart says, actually, maybe you haven't. You've achieved that in maybe not doing so well in some of the other areas. And it's a really challenging thing to have the balanced view about what is important. Yeah, what's necessary, what's important. And, it sounds like you've got an ideal sort of balance there.
I think the biggest kind of driving factors for that, and I'll be honest, and the more I think about it, I think the more things I used to buy and have to spend money on, or thought I had to spend money on, was probably an indication of how unhappy I was. I was probably unhappy with certain facets of my life, be it my health, physical or mental, life, business, marriage. It all comes with challenges, and I think I was buying these shiny things because I thought that'll make me happier. I'll buy a better car because that'll make me happy, and it did for about 5 minutes. And then you look at what money's going out in the bank, you think, I'm an idiot. So I've had a bit of a rethink, and to be honest, I get in my old knackered car, which by the way doesn't lock, because no one will steal it anyway. It's fantastic. It's fantastic, James. I don't think I've ever been as happy as I am right now. I think, I just seem to get the balance just about right. The health's improving, life at home's good, and I drive an old knackered car. I don't care either. It's like you reach a point in your life, and the moment I'm reading a book at the minute, it's the subtle art of not giving a
yes.
Yeah. And FC UK, and it's in Mark Manson, I think it is, and it's an interesting book. I don't agree with all these points, but I think when you reach a point where you really don't care because you've got your priorities right, I think you're at a good place.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. True enough. I couldn't give a shitometer, and it's round at about 11 or 12 when I'm driving my old Berlingo, and I'm looking out there. And you've been to my place, so we live out in the sticks.
Yeah.
And I'm going across to the hills, and I'm doing maybe 35, and I got somebody coming the other way in their shiny new whatever it is, and I'm going, you obviously haven't clocked. This is a car I couldn't give a shit about. I am the sort of bloke I couldn't give a shit. So it's probably best that we both sort of pull over a bit here, because if it's battle of the wing mirrors, I'm going to win.
Yeah, because down by your house, the roads are pretty narrow. They're not even wide enough for a bike. No.
As you get a bit further in, it's the sort of place that grass grows up the middle.
Yeah.
It's de-oiling my sump of my Berlingo as I drive it. It's nature at its finest. Yeah, good stuff. So, David, you mentioned then about your career and history at ADS. And of course, for those that don't know, then working with Dad and Mum in the business, eventually that journey happened that instead of being, part of the team, you got a chance to take over at the helm. So the opportunity came up.
Well, it was kind of a forceful takeover, to be honest with you, James. I kicked my poor dad out.
Oh.
We weren't particularly getting on. It was a hostile takeover, for sure, definitely. Yeah, I was going to say, I was back then, I was probably bored. I think there's a fine line. I was discussing this with my wife last night. I said there's a fine line between arrogance and being conceited and confident. I think to succeed in business and to start an adventure or go on your own or diversify, you have to have a level of self-belief. And I definitely was full of that back then. I mean, there was the powerhouse and the driving force. It was Jean, who sadly left us in 2011. That was a big turning point for us, because she was the heart and soul of the operation. Dad was the brains, she was the heart and soul. And I think I got a little bit of both. And then I looked at the business, James. I looked at what we were doing back then, and we were obviously well respected and renowned for our diagnostic capabilities and skills. And off the back of that, we had the training, of course. But I felt our business commercially was being used. I felt we were being exploited. We were often the third, fourth, maybe even fifth choice of the consumer to fix their car. And I spent more time, I think, offering therapy to people on the phone, convincing them and coercing them to come to us. And they go, well, what's your labour rate? And we're like, well, back then it was about £80 an hour, which was at the time quite a lot, comparatively to the rest of the market. And people, £80? Oh, it's too expensive. Whereas you and I both know, and we're kind of converted into that. We can command that. We're worth that, because we can save you a huge sum of money. My dad was very hell-bent on sticking to what he believed in. I had other ideas. I wanted to... My ethos in business is quite simple. I want to offer the best service money can buy. It's that simple. And to offer that service across a wide spectrum of vehicles would take, I think, an unsustainable amount of investment in software, information, tooling, and not just that, but knowledge. And I think I was being dishonest with myself if I could keep that up across a wide spectrum of cars. We were users and subscribers of the blue handset from Autologic back in the day, which is a sublime tool, brilliant, capable tool. It obviously encapsulated, for those that don't know, it encapsulates all the different dealer tools into one handset, and the service you got was just second to none. So it allowed me to work on PSA Group, Jaguar Land Rover, BMW, Mercedes, VAG Group, and rely on the help of master technicians, because, to be fair, there were common faults, wiring diagrams I didn't have, and I spent so much time on the phone gathering help, and I thought, I felt, how can I put this? Fraudulent, almost. I felt like, even though I'm giving my customers access to great information and access to a repair, I was uncomfortable with the fact I didn't know it myself and I had to rely on other people. So I think in order to do what I wanted to do, we should offer a good value, which meant commercially being efficient. I had to hone those skills and expertise into one particular brand. That particular brand for me was one I was very familiar with and comfortable with from my tuning days, was the VAG Audi Volkswagen group. So I took the plunge. I said to my dad, look, Dad, I want to get rid of 90% of our customers and focusing on just one particular brand, one family of cars. He went, you're mad, it won't work, and you're insane. I said, well, I'll live with that, but trust me, I'll do it. And then within 3 months of changing the marketing, really getting involved with building websites and blog writing and social media. I'm not an expert by any means, but I certainly had a firm grasp on it. After doing that, I grew the company by about 300%. In fact, I grew it so fast, the company, we were inspected by HMRC at least twice. I think we were growing plants upstairs or doing something illicit. Genuinely, we were investigating. We took the turnover from the business, from a poultry. Because the training was so successful back then and the events and so on and so forth, the workshop didn't have to stand on its own 2 feet. And I felt that in itself was a travesty, giving our skills and expertise. But we grew it from £100,000 turnover a year in the workshop to quickly that rose to 3, then 4, and 500,000 quite quickly in as many years. We then grew the business, attracted more people. I needed more help, of course. And that was when my difficult journey went from being a technician in the workshop into a leader, into a businessman, into an entrepreneur, and the growth on what the business attracted also drew a lot of attention. And I was more than happy to share the golden nuggets of success. And I started doing more consultancy work, started building websites for people, doing more training. And my biggest passion was to be able to give back to an industry. You and I, especially, and you, James, you're very much the same. You love this industry very much. It's very dear to your heart. As for me, I've grown up around it. I've lived and breathed it for a long time, and it's been fantastic to our family. So to be in a position to be able to give back through knowledge sharing, for me, was a privilege. But I was fighting the battle on so many fronts with the consultancy work, running the business. It comes with a fairly abrupt kind of hit a brick wall, lifestyle choices, drinking too much, late nights, trying to sustain a marriage, trying to be a dad. It kind of had a huge toll on my health. And then in recent years, we've gone on to talk about that more than anything. More got away from the business consultancy, gone more to the human element. And I really enjoyed that transition as well, talking about mental health, my own, other people's, helping people. The group, which we set up, the ASG group during COVID, that was a huge achievement and turning point, and that's gone on to other things. So it's been a very interesting journey.
Yeah, immensely interesting. And in terms of the garage, then, so you grew the volume of customers from the place, your original base, and that obviously led to you having to think about expanding premises, which in itself, oh my God, moving a garage, it sounds like quite a simple thing, but of course, finding somewhere and then moving. How did that come about, and how did you manage that successfully, David?
Well, good question. Our original workshop based in Preston, which was a very small, beautifully clean workshop, and you get these reminders on Facebook. Remember 7 years ago, your memories go, and a picture of the old workshop. I was like, can't believe I worked out that there was a little coney ramp, 2.5 ton ramp, right at the back of the workshop. Immaculately clean, but the paint had all flaked off the floor. A toolbox all lined up down one side, but it was 1,200 square foot. And we were servicing cars, repairing cars. So it was a bit of a tight squeeze, to say the least. It really was. So the move, once we grew the company and we had more cars, the need for bigger space was just more than ever. I was very lucky to find a premises locally within a stone throw in the area. I took the plunge. I put everything on the line, my mortgage, I had to kind of pay with a pound of flesh. It was kind of, beg, steal and borrow because we weren't cash rich. So it was a big gamble, a lot more expense, more staff, more people. But it was an exciting journey. I was confident. I believed in what I was doing, and the growth in the business was there to see. It was tangible. So I believe it was a calculated risk. But I definitely, I don't mind taking risks, and I've never had an issue with that. Perhaps I could be a bit more calculating, but the move was necessary. Otherwise, we would have choked. Do I regret it? No. Has it had challenges? Yes. I mean, we've now outgrown the unit where we are now. My dad said that to me. He went, "You'll outgrow this in no time." I went, "No, I'll be right. We'll be fine." Sure as eggs are eggs. He was right. Don't tell him that. But yeah, I mean, and I think the most important thing for me was the transition in power from my dad running the show into me taking over. So I made my dad a very, very, I thought, generous offer to retire early. He's now come back to work for me, by the way. He's doing 3 days of work because he's the most useful man on the planet. There's nothing he cannot do. He's a talented guy, interesting chap, but very, very talented. He's great to have around, and the lads absolutely love him. So yeah, I'm now bringing him back on a 3-day week basis. The rest of the time he rides his bike, James. He's up and down. But no, it was a necessary move. We needed more space. It was challenging, a big risk, but I went for it and it paid off.
Yeah, the good stuff. And so you're at that point now where because it was a big jump in terms of space and size and profile. And was that significant also, David, in that signalling to the outside world, maybe that there's a change of, you've moved from the one premise to the other. That's now signaling also to the outside world that there's a new chief in town. It's sort of new business. There's a new structure. Did you use that in a sort of, this has changed gear and we are now looking at, this particular, the business has now shifted in terms of its offering to your clients? Yeah,
I think there was a changing of the guard, and I think I was very, very keen to. It wasn't the main driving force for why I did what I did. It wasn't about putting my name out there. I think when you've got someone like Frank Massey as your dad, I've always lived in his shadow, and I'll be honest. I think for many, many years, especially the old unit, as you do as a young man, you try and emulate your father. You try and be like, you want to make him proud. You want to, and a part of that is copying and emulating what he does. And to be fair, he's miles better. He's a very smart cookie, my dad, a one-off, much like yourself, James. Two of the most well-respected men in our industry, if not ever. but you've got a very unique mind. Pioneers of your day. I wasn't a pioneer. I was I was following the footsteps. So when I had the opportunity to shine and do my own thing, I took it, and I wanted to put my own stamp on it and become my own man. Certainly when I met my beautiful wife, we've now got 2 kids, I wanted to create my own legacy. And technically, again, my dad's my dad. It's like you, James. You're one-offs, you two. You're a rare breed of chaps. They're difficult to follow, but I'd like to think we've kept up with the technical expertise and background that we've always been close to. But I've bolted onto that now. I've added on a customer experience, which I believe is rarely matched, or I'd like to say unrivaled, but it's probably a bit cocky because there's some really, really good guys out there now. Really good guys. And we're a member of a community with the Garage Hive Network, and we go to the events and we're seeing what other people are doing. To mention a few names, we've got like Kev at Cedar Garage, Martin, Shelton and Gloucester Autos. It's just like I could go on naming names all bloody day, but there's some really, really, really good garages, and we've all helped each other. We've all seen things. I like that. But it's great to be a part of that network, to be able to share ideas. But I believe what we've got at ADS is special. I think we've got a rare cocktail of technical brilliance, and we have got some really good guys, coupled with what is my ethos of the company culture, which is deliver bloody good service. And if you look at our Google reviews and so, no doubt, they're pretty good.
They are good, yeah. And I have to congratulate you, definitely from an outside observer perspective. It's that transition that you made into, is it Satchel Street? Is that the?
It sounds like Petrol Street.
Petrol.
Petchell Street.
Petchell Street, yeah.
Petchell Street.
Petchell, and that transition was done superbly, I think, and it definitely signalled you've carried the values over, and also it sort of expanded them. So I think sometimes in a I say branding or a business move, or when there's a transition, you can lose some of that. But I think you've absolutely succeeded in putting your stamp and enhancing that amazing reputation that ADS had, and also sort of moved it into I would say mainstream, transitioning from the diagnostic specialism into mainstream garage with the diagnostic specialism now as a part of that. But
yes,
really, you've expanded that to be dealing with people wide and far in the chosen brand.
Yeah, I think we had to survive, James. I mean, I think being a diagnostic specialist alone, there are some exceptional people out there. I mean, Jason, who was on the show last week, Jason, he's the man. And he's geared his business around diagnostics and just doing that. With what I wanted to do with the whole service package, I believe we had to use diagnostics, but as a bolt-on to the business and cater for a wider audience with the maintenance, service, and repairs, and obviously the performance. But yeah, it's a necessary part of what we did to grow.
Yes, yeah. No, you've done successfully well there. So, David,
Thank you.
Help us understand, if so people that don't know the business quite so well, a sort of snapshot of what it is now that where you are in ADS's journey in terms of business. So, what does it look like now from the outside? What sort of size and shape? What sort of team members?
Well, it looks very shiny, James. It looks like a beautiful swan across a lake. It looks elegant and peaceful. Yeah, underneath there's pair of legs doing this, and in our case, many legs doing this. What does it look like? Well, we've got a 4,500 square foot workshop. We have now 6 ramps. We have, collectively, obviously, I bought another garage. When my wife retired, I thought, well, you can look after the kids, but I'm going to have to bring some more income. So I foolishly decided to buy another garage, which is going rather well. So 18 staff collectively. But ADS, in terms of what it looks like, I've set it up as like an independent main dealer. So beautiful reception area, beautiful office, front of house staff, garage management software, which helps me orchestrate and run the workshop and look at data, which is a vital part of what we do. We have 4 brilliant technicians. An apprentice in Larney, a female technician who's doing exceptionally well. So a nice, diverse workforce, young, hungry, passionate about what we do. They've bought into our culture. And yeah, we spend most of our life at work, a minimum 8 hours a day. And one thing that is really, really important to me is staff well-being. And I include myself within that sentence. So I like to think, well, why can't we create a space where we'd want to spend time? My staff keep going about, I get up in the morning, I can't wait to get to work. We get into work, we provide healthy food, breakfast. We have nice coffee. We have a clean, warm, dry, safe, bright well-lit, sterile environment which people enjoy being in. I think garage has come a long way in a decade, in 2 decades, compared to what they were. But I still think there's an element of garages having a terrible reputation for the work environment. And I know one of the questions which you've posed is about what you're doing about the technician crisis. We'll talk about that later on. But I think take a look at yourselves and think, what kind of environment are you providing for your staff? If you provide I don't want to swear, but if you provide a cave-like, dirty, oily, poor lit, cold environment with poor pay, chances are you're not going to recruit people into it.
True. Yeah.
So I've tried to go the other way, and I'm very, very proud to offer a safe environment. The staff benefits of working with us are, I think, groundbreaking, unique, and we were certainly one of the first companies in our industry to introduce some of the methods that we have into retain staff and to treat them well. We have a family first policy. So, for example, our technicians, who are largely male, have families of their own. And I say, look, first and foremost, you are someone's father, you are someone's husband, you're someone's dad. So, if you want to drop your kids off at school one day, drop them off. You want to pick them up one afternoon, pick them up. Sports days, be there. These are things that I've missed out on, and things that are important to me now, and these are privileges that I enjoy. So all the privileges that I enjoy as the business owner, I make sure they're watered down and cascaded to the staff as well, and that is creating a culture of respect and a platform which I can have the freedom that I want as well. So that's what it looks like. The customers feed off that, I believe. They come into the workshop, and they can feed off the vibe from the staff and the culture of the business, and they become our friends. Yeah, and I've always valued that over profit, much to my own detriment at times. I'm not a brilliant businessman, James. I'm not ruthless, unfortunately. I value the human element more, and always have done. I'm starting to make a transition to becoming a more efficient businessman. And just because I was a technician, and then my journey into leadership into a business owner doesn't mean I'm any good at it. I'm still fondling my way through the dark, if you will. I'm still learning, still making mistakes. I'm not the finished article by any means, but with the help of I've spoken to Andy Savin many times, Johnny B, I've chatted to him about business. There's a lot of industry leaders who I'm privileged to be friends with who give me lots of good ideas, and we're getting there slowly. We're kind of making improvements.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that, David, that I don't think anyone will be the finished article, and it's back to some of the things that we talked about before about being fully trained. Do you know what? You'll never be fully trained until you're looking at the lawnmower from the wrong side. You're in the ground looking up, and so it is a journey, isn't it? I think sometimes fully trained. You fully experienced. You can't be, because every day is learning goes on, and you develop as a person, you develop your skills in business, you develop relationships, you understand more deeply about things. And I think having the wisdom to be realizing that we're a work in progress gives you a little bit of peace of mind to know that it won't ever be perfect, but it'll be better than it was, yesterday, and you'll be further on next week and next month. So it's sage advice, and recognizing some of strengths and weaknesses. That introspection is again a very powerful tool, where you've got the ability to look at what's gone well and things you are really good at, but also flagging up internally the things that maybe you need a bit of help and a bit of guidance and a bit of advice. And seeing those as potential work-ons makes it fun. Of course, if we're going forward and we're having those work-ons to work on, we can only improve, and it's what makes life good. Yeah,
I think one of the essential qualities to be successful in business, one of them is humility. I think you need to leave your ego at the door, and accept that we are forever learning. The minute you sit there and say, I'm fully trained, I'm fully qualified, it's a dangerous place to be. It really is. And I think, I always say this, me and you have a good bit of banter. I said, God, and Dad told me as I was young, he said, son, God give you 2 ears and 1 mouth. What does that mean? He went, shut up and listen. I went, okay, right, fair enough. And I think if we apply what God gave us with 2 ears and 1 mouth, we'll be all right.
Yeah, true enough. Sort of brings me on to my next question. My next question, then, David, what is it that you enjoy about being in business? So you've transitioned from that. If we look at technical, we talk a little bit about we know some of the real triggers about being technical and hands-on and problem solving and getting to the end of the fault and being challenged. If you look at your transition personally then to business, what is it that floats your boat about in generic terms then being in business?
Great question. The freedom, James. I enjoy the freedom, the carte blanche, the blank canvas which I can paint. I think there are many shackles being independent. The pressure, having to keep up with technology, with finance, with family, with health, with moving technology, with predicting which way the wind's going to blow. Is EV going to take off? Is it going to take off? Are we going to go down this route? Cost of living crisis, COVID, the amount of balls in which we have to dodge, and it's exciting, and that in itself is like, bloody hell, that's really cool. But I think for me personally, what really floats my boat and gets me going is we can do what the hell we want, man. We've got a complete blank canvas to be able to, right, this is my vision. I want to create an independent dealership. I want it to look like this. I want to give this, I want to work on this kind of car, and with the right help and with the right marketing structure and plan, and having a plan in place, you can go out and you can do it. And we were stuck in a rut, and when you're stuck in a rut and pressure's on financially, and you've just got married and you're trying to buy a house, and your wife stood there and she's pregnant with your first kid, and you think, oh shit, it's all up to me now. I've got to deliver, man. And then you've got this vision. You know what? I'm going to sack all this off. I'm going to do this. And it's easy to take the easy option in life sometimes, and I get it, and I respect anyone who works to provide and protect the family, but to have a vision and to believe in yourself and back yourself with the support of loved ones. I'm not saying, I did it all by myself. My wife was amazing, is still amazing. But having that people behind you going, you can do it. Just go for it, man. And being able to create ADS into what it is now, and being able to inspire other people. Yeah, I love it, man. It's great. I love it. Yeah. Just being able to create what you want, turn your dream into a reality. And ADS, it is my vision. It is created, out of my imagination, and it comes to fruition. It works, and it now allows me the freedom to be able to pick the kids up from school. You know what? It's Friday. Weather's nice. I'm going to go camping. Team, are we all right? Yes, Dave. Go have a great time, mate. Because I'm leading with them and we have a great relationship. There's no pressure on me having to be there. So I've created that environment where we all help each other. When we're down or when we're up, we pick each other up. Being part of a team, that's what gets me going.
Yeah.
Having that behind you. I love that.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So you sort of, it's your game in a way. They're your rules. It's your vision. To execute that is the challenge, I suppose. In one hand, that it's never been done because you're creating it uniquely from the start. But secondly, it's building it the way you want to build it. So, yeah, I really get that. It is fulfilling. It's hard work, and it really is hard work. And I was chatting to somebody the other day who's in another business, and he said, if you ask somebody that's been in business any amount of time, a high proportion of those, if they were maybe talking to somebody that was thinking about starting a business, would give the very sage look that goes, you're never going to realize how hard it is to achieve your dreams and goals and build that. But if you get through that, the rewards when you land the other side are immense. But be prepared for the hard work. And as you rightly said, support of loved ones, sacrifices, not being able to do some of the stuff, you need to do to be able to build that goal. But it's
hard work, James, and mild alcohol abuse.
Yeah, he's sucking his water. Yeah, and it's true. Very, very true that it becomes that. It is that difficult. I would say it is very difficult that you start to, when you've got all those balls in the air and you're building your dream. It's the downtime, and it's the switching off, and it's the you time away from it. It becomes you become it, the vision, the drama, the dream, the building of it. It can be all consuming, and it is probably one of those, it's very easy to almost it creates its own solar system, and you become a planet orbiting around your dream, and you're not sort of in control some of the time. But it's a big challenge.
I was so obsessed with business, James, I became Jupiter. I put on a lot of weight. In fact, I was like Saturn with my belt. It got pretty bad. If I may, and if I can give any advice to the listeners and the audience, having a dream, following it is tough. Of course, it is. It'll take. There'll be times where you'll hit a brick wall, a national pandemic, family crisis, loss of a loved one, decline of your own personal mental health. You'll have all sorts of challenges to overcome. I think you've got to stay true to your course. You've got to always do it for the right reasons. And for me, it was quite simple. I had no choice. I had to protect and provide for my family as a proud man. That was always my get out of bed. That's what we're doing this for, And with that comes great sacrifice, especially for men, because we say goodbye to our kids in the morning and we come home at night, often tired, stressed from the outside. And you come into this warm, beautiful environment where the children are relaxed and playing, Daddy, look at this drawing with like macaroni cheese. And you're like, oh, that's just wonderful. And you're just like, whatever, pour me a whiskey. But and being able to transition back into that family mode, it is difficult. What I will say is this. I think put your own oxygen mask on first. It might seem selfish, but take care of yourself, because I didn't. And I think if you keep yourself fit, if you keep yourself on your bike, James, or keeping down the gym, or keep doing what you love doing. I'm passionate, might be playing football, it might be going boxing, it might be playing tennis, it might be going to the gym or walking the dog. Keep doing that. Never ever keep that as a non-negotiable in your diary. Have your diary, and if you haven't got time, get up earlier. There's 24 hours in a day, and there's nothing more important, because the minute you fall apart, the minute your health starts to deteriorate, your business follows suit quite quickly. So you can't invest your passion, your energy into it, and it needs you to do that. You are the driving force, and please take care of yourselves. Drink lots of water, exercise. Business is business, and it's challenging, but please take care of yourselves first. But first and foremost.
Yeah, and there's some very good advice that you do as the engine of the business and as the leader. You have to be in tip-top form, to be able to move it forward. And we hear business is all consuming. Well, it shouldn't be, and it didn't ought to be. The non-negotiable diary time is also a very good tip, making sure you've got time for you. And we must, that's the physical you, but also the mental health part of you as well, about staying in touch with your own feelings. Yeah. The strong body is necessary for the strong mind. Those two things obviously work together. So, yeah, it can't be overestimated really about the focus on you. And I think that's probably, I underwent some serious business training in my previous life, and I had some pretty decent jobs in some pretty big blue chip companies. And I felt back in that was the sort of 90s, there really wasn't anything that focused or led you to think about the you. And there was the human resources, the team, and all of the structure, the business and the processes and the finances and all of that. But there was definitely, and I think one of the things I think nicely that's come more recently is the focus on you, and as a person, as a business owner, as an operator in a business, it's actually quite acceptable and a necessary part to make sure that your 100% day includes 10 or 15% for you. Otherwise, you are neglecting yourself. You need heat, you need light, you need water, you need food, you need mental space, and those things absolutely are banging critically.
I think there's been a huge paradigm shift, certainly post-COVID. I think there's been so much time where we were able to breathe and pause and reflect and think, and it had such a profound, COVID in itself, I hate using the word, I apologise, listeners, but it had such a profound effect on people's mental health. I, for one, I think because control essentially is an illusion, isn't it, James? Yes, we believe we're in control, don't we? And in reality, we're just on a massive spinning rock in outer space, and we are delusional to think we're in control, because there we are. You have your business and you work so hard and you push. You get this big rock, right? And you push this rock uphill and you're pushing it. All of a sudden, COVID, and the rock just goes and runs you over. And you're like, I've just battled for years to get where I am, and rock down the bottom of the hill, just get back down, pick the rock back up, and push it back up the hill again. And it was that kind of control removed from us, and I think it shook a lot of us to the core. Me especially. I think it was one of the driving factors which you and I had a conversation, and you went, "Well, I'm worried," and I went, "Well, I'm worried," and we both went, "I mean, everyone else is worried. If we're worried, everyone else is worried. So we must do something about this." And we did, and thankfully it was great. But the feeling I got, what resonated throughout the group was the profound effect on people's mental health. And I think there's now people talking about it. I've done talks at the Blend Garage Hive, open up about my own. That's prompted conversations. I think it's a much more of an acceptable conversation, and it should be. At the end of the day, if you go down to the gym, James, I look at it like this. You're down the gym and you're pumping your biceps. You're like, oh, yeah, great. Then you tear your bicep. You're like, oh, bloody hell, it's all my bicep. A&E, X-ray. Right, in a cast. Right? Surgery, yes or no? Yeah, okay, surgery. And then you've got rehabilitation. Then you've got physio. Our minds, our brains are no different than our biceps, the muscles in our body. And throughout life, there are traumas and there are events and there are injuries but our brains don't stop. They don't get rehabilitated. They don't get a warm up and a massage and our brains are non-stop, and it comes a point where it will just break. It will just break down, and you try and self-medicate, and you think, okay, right. And I think it's important now more than ever that we accept our minds are just as susceptible to injury as our muscles, and we've got to talk about that. And in America, the culture, I have to admire certain aspects of their culture, not all of it, but they often, talking to a shrink, as they put it, is a part of the norm. It's very much accepted. And if you just said talking to a psychiatrist, people think, like, are you crazy? Are you all right? Are you nuts? No, it's a vital part. And I see a life coach, and she's wonderful. I just sit there for an hour. I just rant at her and talk. And she's like, right, okay, right. So how do you feel about that? And it just makes me reflect on what I've said and what I'm thinking. And it's great just to be able to download. It's important we go to the pub for a pint with our mates and just talk. But COVID stopped all that. So I think we all just kind of broke a little bit. It's important to look after ourselves and talk. If you've got someone you can listen to, someone who's got a good pair of ears, be it a life coach or psychiatrist, I would advise go down that route. Share your feelings.
Yeah, it's powerful. The talking therapy, style of working with somebody is an immense. If people haven't experienced it, then I would heartily recommend it, even if you don't think you needed it. Sometimes having it when you don't think you need it will prevent it, getting to the point that you actually do need it. And life coaches or mentors or talking therapies are pretty good. We must mention at this stage our motor trade industry charity, Ben, who offer
absolutely
an immense service there. Even if you're not sure that it's the sort of thing you need, reaching out to those guys and girls over there is just it saves lives, James. It's simple as that. It's saving lives. They've got I wish more people knew about it and what was available, but the facilities and the training that they can provide, they provide a triage for mental health. Mental health training is available as well, so you can triage your staff and see early warning signs. But yeah, the service which they provide is second to none. Hats off to Ben. I'm a huge mention to them. Fair play. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so being kind to yourself, is highly important, and reaching out for support, even if you don't think you need it. Sometimes just confirmation that it's right, it's not right. I don't leave it too late. If you're thinking you're under pressure and that pressure's not subsiding, then do reach out, get in touch with Ben, and have a listen to what they've got to say, and they'll have a listen to what you've got to say. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Spot on.
David, thinking about business, where you've got to and the journey that you've been on, if we were to look at maybe challenges, so if we sort of put a peg in the ground of today's date and we drew a circle round of the last sort of 12 months or around a 12-month time frame, what sort of challenges are you facing in your business? You highlighted some there about maybe cost of living. We talk about the economy itself. We're talking about some other factors. What would you, if you had to sum up the top couple that have really got you thinking, or maybe making you think about tactical shift, or thinking about adopting something new, or changing the way you're doing stuff? What sort of thing are going through your mind as the business leader of ADS?
Another great question. I think the biggest challenge we're faced with at the moment is a logistical challenge in getting parts, James. We have a strict policy on using genuine parts only. We offer a 2 years parts and labour guarantee with all our work. In order to accomplish that, the partners which we elect to choose are the manufacturers. So locally, we have TPS. Because of the European conflict which is going on and the Ukraine, where most of the parts are manufactured, there is an obvious delay. We could have, for example, kind of work we have in the workshop. A lot of it is repair work. So a car comes in, we carry out a VHC, we thoroughly check the vehicle. And most modern Audis, due to the weight-saving measures, half the engine is manufactured from plastic. And plastic equals water leaks. So we'd have to order thermostat housing, rubber seals, gaskets, so on and so forth. So you've got you might have 100 parts in total, bolts, gaskets, various parts. 100 is probably exaggeration, but let's say at least a dozen. And let's say you've had to strip down the engine in order to find said leak and find where the problem is. So the car's on the ramp. You then order the parts to find out one of the parts is on back order. So we've had to change, and I know stripping that engine down before you're having the parts is not particularly a good idea. But in order to be accurate with diagnosis and offer an accurate estimate, we're trying to be as close as possible. But we are now, I'd say, strangled by parts. It's on back order. How long? Don't know. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Don't know. And you've got turbos. Christ on a bike. You can't even get turbos for the twin turbo 2 litre engine at the moment. They're all on back order. We had a T6 on the ramp for best part of about 4 weeks waiting for a turbo because it had blown. It's just it's crippling our business. So we're having to change tack. Having cash flow is a massive challenge in any business, but I think the nature of work in which you undertake, people say you've got no control over the work you undertake. Well, you have to a degree, depending on how you market your business and what you set your stall up as. Us being a specialist, we do get a lot of specialists working, sure. I personally would like to do more servicing work because you can tend to get tyres, brakes, filters, oil fairly rapidly, fairly quickly into your business. So I'm trying to navigate the business into those waters where we're doing more fast in-out work. So that's definitely one of the biggest challenges we've got is getting parts. The other, keeping up with, it's going to be an obvious one really, keeping up with the cost of doing business. One of your questions, and we're going to get into it no doubt, you talked about the technician crisis. Well, it's quite an easy one to fix. You provide a nice place for them to work and you're paying loads of money. So I've done that, but that comes at a price. And that's got to reflect in what you charge out, of course. But with the increased operational cost of the business, so we've got bounce back load post-COVID. I said it again, I said COVID again. I'm sorry again, listeners, I'm so sorry. But yeah, we've got a lot of debt and finance to factor into the equation post-COVID. I said it again. Cost of living expenditure, the gas, electric, the parts. So we're seeing a slowdown of the work turnover, but your fixed outgoings, your wages, your PAYE, your rent, unfortunately that's not very flexible. That goes out every month. So we've got to keep up with cash flow, and that can be squeaky bum times. We do pay our technicians incredibly well, and front of house staff. We don't distinguish the difference between the two. They're all equal parts of the same machine. So yeah, cost of doing business, rising cost in the wage bill and maintaining that, and also not trying to alienate your customers too much by increasing price. But if you look at the main dealers, certainly locally where I am, they're charging in excess of £200 an hour, 180 plus VAT, £200 plus VAT. Is unheard of in the Northwest, and we're half that, James. We're £100 plus VAT, and I think we offer excellent value for money for that. So I think you've got to look at that very carefully and think, well, what are the manufacturers, the big boys, doing? And I think, how can we? I don't like to use the word match. I think we can far exceed their level of service because they are restricted by so many factors, whereas we aren't. We're independent and we have carte blanche in how we operate the business. Their overheads are far greater than ours. like I said, I don't like using the word match. People come to our workshop and go, "Oh, it's just like the main dealers." I went, "Don't you dare say that." Dare say that. So yeah, you've got to be confident and believing in what you do enough to be able to charge the right money for what you do. But yeah, they're the biggest challenges, really, James, I'd say.
Yeah, no, cool stuff. Do you find yourself, in relation to the parts crisis, are you carrying stock now of, items that you might find, there's an issue with? Is that part of your model, or is that just because of the variety of, different makes and model within the VAG brand that it's almost impossible to carry enough to see you through on the wide diversity of work that's coming in? So you're sort of stuck.
Absolutely, James. Yeah, it was something I considered doing. We can get stuff like brakes pretty quickly, so there's no point in stocking brakes. I don't believe in that. That's TPS's job, not mine. We're a service provider. However, with the crowd, I suppose the best way to look at it is I think we should go back. There's a lot of skills being lost in businesses, and I know you offer, for example, EPROM. I bet your EPROM course is busier than ever. I guarantee it will be, because you can't get control modules now. So I used to repair control modules. I used to solder. I used to replace components and do funky stuff like that, and read and write chips and so on and so forth. I've stopped doing it because everything we do now is all new only. Now we can't get new, so I'm like going, where did I put my soldering iron? So I'm like rebuilding my little desk, and trying to stabilise my hand. Where I'm like, Doctor Strangelove. But no, it's keeping stock of parts, James. I think it's almost impossible because of the variety of what's on the market. Not just that, the amount of super sessions. First thing we do, go into our ETCA, which is the Volkswagen Online parts catalogue, and we check, it's been revised. We're on version A, B, C, D, E, F, G now. So it's been revised 7 times. So there must be a design flaw in that. Yeah. If you're stocking B, and then a car comes in and it's on revision E, are you fitting the right part? No. And then again, aftermarket parts, what revision was that copied on? I bet it wasn't G. So there's a reason why we elect to use manufacturer parts of the latest specification. To stock them, I think it's impossible. I think the important thing is, James, upskill. I think repair some of the old school repair skills with soldering and repairing circuitry or repairing mechanical components, remanufacturing it, if you will. I think now, again, is more prevalent than it's ever been. I really do. I think it might make a difference between saving your business and losing it.
Yeah, very true. Something springs to mind though. Many moons ago, when I had a proper job and I used to get paid a wage, I was out in some of the Eastern European countries, and touring around the workshops and stuff. You'd see milling machines and lathes, and I'm looking at that going, bloody hell! The part, and back then that's in the mid-90s, I suppose. I'm looking at that going, yeah, part supply is a bit flaky. Getting stuff in from Europe can be quite tricky. The age profile of the vehicles has got sort of older in that country, and they just couldn't get the parts. And I was sort of blown away, going, oh my god, right? How on one hand, really cool is that you can do that, but on the other hand, I'm going, you've been driven there by the market and the business, and really that's what you're having to do to live like that. And here we are now, 2023 going on 2024, and that sort of story has become mainstream now for vehicle service and repair maintenance. The transportation sector is having to find creative ways to keep their customers on the road with the aging vehicle population. So
yeah, absolutely spot on. We are at an absolute, would I say tipping point? I don't know, but the supply chain issues, we've got Taiwan, microchips, what's going on with China, and the embargo, we've got the microchip shortage in California, and we've got all these issues globally, geopolitics going on, which is slowing down the production of motor cars, which is great news for us as repairers, because people are keeping cars longer, average invoice values are climbing, happy days. People are keeping cars without replacing them, great for us. But can you get the parts to manufacture them and keep them going? No, you can't. So I think remanufacturing, it's become, again, a massive factor in what we do. I think it's important we have those core skills, key skills to keep the cars on the road. Remanufacturing in-house has got to come as a high priority. I really do.
No, true. I think you're right in some instances. How do you find customers' levels of expectation or understanding? So, often we look at the motor car, and very early on in my life as working in the garage, I saw the car from a technical side is right. It's this assembly of components that is a machine. And then I'm flicking over the other side going, well, actually, it's not. It sort of becomes an enabler of freedom. So Joe or G public has got this car and they see it as it's their freedom. They can go here, there, everywhere and get their stuff done. So, it has a big impact on people's lives. It's very easy for us in the business to look at it as a machine. And I often talk about the drama. In some of the training we do about, dealing best with your customer, the impact levels of, if you went to your Passat and it wouldn't start because we had a nuclear war and the cockroaches had nicked it. Let's imagine it doesn't start. The drama levels to you of a car not starting, like me, I go to the key bag and I look at it through the key bag and go, that'll do. That's got fuel in it. And so my impact level of not having a car is very low. But obviously to the motoring public, it's a huge issue. If the car stops working or is off the road for any period of time, basically life stops. If they're a one-car family, life absolutely stops. If they're a two-car family, there's hardship in terms of transport sharing. What do you think from the motoring public? What is their perspective on the crisis with parts supply?
That's a very, very good question. I've got two contrasting businesses. People who elect to use ADS, I think they come with a certain amount of, how can I put this, knowledge, done the research, looked into who you are, looked into what you're all about, and I think we get a lot more freedom than other garages enjoy, because they think, these guys are cat's pajamas, we're going to listen to what they say and they're really cool, man, they've got their own YouTube channel, all the rest of it. So they come with a level of understanding and they're quite realistic in that sense. My other business, Eldon Street Garage, which is a business which I bought from a gentleman who's now become a friend, a good guy. That is a backstreet garage. It's on a back street. It's a fantastic business, well-respected business, MOT centre, service centre, and that services a wide variety of different cars. I've assembled a fantastic team down there who are doing a wicked job, headed up by, I promise to give her a shout-out, Annette, the lovely Annette. She's just...
Go, Annette.
Go. She's awesome, man. She's great.
Awesome. She is an awesome lady.
She is. She's down there. And not just Annette, but we've got Pete. It was a painful, I wouldn't say divorce, but Pete's like my best mate. He's my right-hand guy. He's the man that we bounce ideas off each other. And, I often rely on him for his mechanical genius. And he relies on me for my expertise and good little marriage. And in ADS, we were like a powerhouse. People used to come in, where's Pete? But now I had to let him go. I'm like, Peter, now's your time to shine on your own. He's like, no. So yeah, Pete went down to Eldon Street. He's the head of the team down there. He's doing a great job. We miss him at ADS, we do. But the customers which go there, James, to answer your question, mate, have absolutely no understanding whatsoever, and they're completely unrealistic. Well, I need the car. I've got to do a school run. Yeah, but it's broken. Yeah, but I need it. And you're like, yeah, but I've got to pick mum up tomorrow. I go to the hospital. I need it. Right, but your engine's melted and you've got no water in it and everything's on fire and I just know you can't do that. Well, I need to be ready by 3 o'clock. School run. You're like, oh god. So yeah, the level of understanding at Eldon Street is somewhat different, and that's why I've put a net down there to deal with that and to become an expert in helping them understand, because it is a big problem. It really is. But we've also got the freedom at Eldon Street where we can use aftermarket parts, because it's a different business model, different, So if we can't get parts from Mr. TPS, from Mr. Germany, from Mr. Ukraine, we can go to X, Y, and Z. We can go to that factor. We can use that part. So there's a bit more flexibility involved. So the problems aren't quite the same, but I'd definitely say that in terms of level of understanding from the customer's perspective, yeah, it's a challenge, a massive challenge. It really is. And like you said, James, if you're a one-car family and you've got to go to work and you've got to go to school and you've got to take your mum to hospital at 3 o'clock on a Wednesday, I get it. And even though it's not my problem, it becomes our problem. I think the arse of negotiation is, do you have a courtesy car function? But then you have a fleet of cars out there all getting damaged and banged, and it becomes more of a, you got limitations in space. So we've only got so much space in the workshop, so we are limited by a few factors. But yeah, it's an interesting conundrum. It is. And when I go down there and stand in the office and listen to, I'm like, oh god, I need to leave because I've been pampered at ADS. We're like, we're in this different level of understanding and wonderfulness. And I go back to the real world, into Eldon Street, I'm like, this is what it used to be like. This is why I changed it. I need to go. So yeah, walk out.
Yeah, and interestingly, when you think about when you think about people motoring on it, well, let's go to most people. And if I look at a random profile of people that I've got an association with and friends. When you look at those guys and girls and go, what is your annual budget that you've got saved up to maintain and support your transportation, your mode, the second biggest investment after your house? How do you manage your...
You've got a speedboat, James.
You've got a speedboat, yeah, or a yacht, yeah. And then you wouldn't be having this conversation. But, in most realistic views, do you experience... in between your customer types, because you've definitely pitched at a certain segment of the market with ADS, and with Eldon Street, then you are dealing with almost geographically. So ADS may not be geographic. People have searched you out and they're making you as a destination garage. Eldon Street might be more convenience that you're the local garage. What is there a way, how can we help those guys and girls that are relying on that mode of transport to go more towards... If you maintain your vehicle to a high standard of quality and safety, it won't let you down, and you won't necessarily be in that emergency situation of not being able to get to somewhere when you need to. How can a garage successfully get that message across that it can be to do with budgeting, it can be to do with scheduled maintenance, will prevent unnecessary breakdowns? You go from a repair business that's dealing with emergencies and critical breakdowns to a maintenance business, which is preventing all that stuff from happening?
Well, James, that is the $1 million question, isn't it? I mean, in reality, these people want shaking violently and sitting down with bright lights shining into their eyes, and they are educating in what it takes to maintain and run a modern motor vehicle. I mean, they're so complex. I mean, we're talking about modern diesels with DPF filters, AdBlue systems, EGR valves. They are being maintained incorrectly, poorly, the wrong parts, the lack of skill. When we took over the business, some of the existing customers, there was I can say this politely, really, a gentleman working there repairing cars who shouldn't have been repairing cars. Let's just put it that way. So some of the repairs we saw was just interesting, to put it the least. I think we need to have a better way of communicating with our customers, and that can be done through video content, through explaining your procedure and your plan. But I think you and I are engineers, and we appreciate we're the converted in the choir. You've got to build in preventive maintenance schedules, and then I won't say coerce people into it, but I think an open and fair policy. I think the VHCs, the amber, red, green system with the garage management system, a nice add-on to your business. Visually demonstrate how you operate, get a car in, do a VHC, explain that to the customer, a video walk round. We have the technology to do that now, photographs, anyway, which you can back up visual evidence and show the customer of what condition the vehicle's in. And I think you've got to stay true to your ethos, which for us is keeping you safe on the road. And would you take your child to, all right, you've got school run through tomorrow, happy days, great. Are you aware you've got 4 ball tyres and your wheel bearing's about to hang off and this is going to set on fire next week? Are you aware of that? Probably not, because cars are maintained now to a price. It's going to be done quickly. They'll change the oil. Pollen filters don't get changed. It's just a really poor state of affairs. I think we have a strict policy. We do things right or we don't do it at all. And I think the trick is have really well-trained, patient, polite, but assertive front of house staff who can convey that business ethos and how you repair cars to the customer. I think if it comes from the lads on the floor in the workshop, they haven't got a lot of time. They're often not trained in the arts of negotiation and negotiating with terrorists. I think you need to have especially highly trained, patient people, Jedis, I call them, the front of house, who are able to take that stress from the person on the shop floor, convey that message, build a relationship, build rapport, build trust through your marketing, through your workshop, through feedback, through your NPS score evaluation, all of these tools you've got at your disposal at building this trust bond. I dealt with a complaint. It wasn't really a complaint. It was feedback, negative feedback. Let's put it that way. I took the time to ring the gentleman. I apologised profusely. I said, you know what? I think you've got a point here. I'll take responsibility. I always shelter my staff from any criticism. I take it personally. I say, look, this is my fault, my business, my name's above the door. Let me be the first to apologise. How about I come out, I collect the car, bring it back, let me have a look at it, let me investigate for you, no extra charge, and we'll resolve the problem. He's now spent an extra $4,000 with us this week, just because I took the effort to negative feedback. Some people think, there are tools there with feedback, with NPS scores, with the automated text message which says, how do you rate our service? These little things are going to help build and bridge that gap between you and the customer and enable you to deliver better service and build that loyal customer base.
That's the way to do it. Yeah. So moving really, so what you're saying, if I can paraphrase then, is you're definitely more into the relationship element. So relationship selling and relationship of maintenance and support. Is that the same in both businesses then, Dave? Because it strikes me ADS will definitely be that sort of business, that relationship where you know the names, the cars, the family, they know you having multiple transactions. So that customer is maybe making multiple visits in a year and he's making multiple visits across multiple years. Is that the same in both businesses, or does one particular business lend itself more to the relationship side? Or is the relationship different? It still exists.
I've had longer at it with ADS, and the marketing and the product itself will attract a certain level of customer. Like you say, you nailed it on the head before, mate, when you said Eldon Street is very much a geographical convenience. It's people's local garage. We've only just took over in the last 18 months, and we've just introduced these new systems. So, of course, I think we're at a point now we are similar to ADS in terms of the relationship with the customers. People have been to us now for 2 times, 3 times. They've been for regular service in their MOTs. So there's now a continuity with the new staff members, Annette in particular, front of house, and Corey, who's a workshop manager, that I've got that relationship now with the suppliers, the network, the customers. And I think we are much more aligned with ADS than we were when we started. We use the same garage management software, so we're using the same tricks and tips and techniques to be able to get feedback. So I think it's really getting, and it's generating a good, healthy profit as well, James. It's a good, healthy business. We employ 8 people down there, and it's a great little place to go. And that's where my dad is. He's down there. He loves it. He's great. And the team of people down there, it's like a beehive, and there's ants everywhere, but it's brilliant. And I love going back into that environment. It's different to ADS. ADS is like, fine dining, and this is like your favourite cafe. You go in there, and it's bustling and busy and vibrant, and it's just a great place to be. But yeah, it's getting there, mate. It's getting there. GMS software is a big part of it.
Yep. So giving you visibility. So that sort of comes back to the other point you made in terms of business challenge. So the cost of doing business is, energy prices is, to take for one example, part supply. Generally, the cost of doing business is creeping up. I guess without a GMS, you've got a difficulty. So so the GMS. You made a very good point about how do you attract and retain talent within your business. Okay, so you have to make the environment great, you have to make the relationship they've got with the business great, and you have to reward them appropriately. And that sort of gears around having enough profit in the job to be able to allocate the proportion that's necessary to make that function in terms of remuneration, pay conditions, and rewards. Dynamically, how does a garage, how can a garage keep pace with the cost of doing business? Well, they have a GMS system that enables them to do that. What does that leave you in the position of changing do you change your labour rate on a regular basis? Are you looking at profit per job? Are you pricing jobs dynamically to ensure there's profitability? How does a garage do that to make sure at the end of the week, at daily profit, weekly profit, monthly profit, quarterly profit, how do you do that?
That is a great question. There are far better people than I to answer this question. I mean, I've used a model set by Andy Savary, yourself, Alex Lindley, personal friend of mine, a business genius. But I think you've got to look at your own business. I think what a big massive trap garages fall into. Next door charges £35 an hour, so I can't go any more than that because he's the. Well, what's your business got to do with theirs? You must look at your operating costs as a business. Look at what it costs you to do business. Have a good relationship with your accountant. Have a profit and loss balance sheet. Review it every 3 months. Look at what it costs to open the doors. Everything's going up in price. Insurance, business rates, fuel costs, energy, electric, wages, food. When you buy food on Fridays for your staff, fish and chips, that's gone up. if you're not factoring that into your business, you will soon not have a business. Forget what the next door is doing. Forget what the competition is doing. You've got to, all right, keep an eye on the market by all means. I think to have an idea of what's going on locally is not a bad thing. Use that as a guideline by all means, but don't let it set and define your labour rate. Your labour rate should reflect what it costs to operate your business. And if your business, it costs twice as much to operate, are you offering twice as much value than your competition? Essentially, what you should be asking yourself. Let's give you an idea. I mean, we're 100 quid an hour plus that. There's a guy locally, another VAG specialist, great guy, sends us loads of work. We got a good ratio with him. He's on about 45, but he operates on himself, by himself, and hasn't got any technology. Very, very basic stuff. He's got VCDS and runs Autodata maybe. Whereas we've got two lots of Otis, we've got ETCA, we've got front of house staff, 4 members of staff, and much bigger premises. So the operational costs, the fixed costs of running my business are far greater than my friend around the corner. But if you were to say one VAG specialist £45, you're £100 an hour, you're mad. Well, not really, because around the corner to most is Preston and Audi, they're £200 an hour. So don't look across the fence too much in terms of competition locally in the independent sector. Look at your own business, have an honest chat with your accountant, get advice, go on training I can't emphasize training enough, business training, not just technical. There's so much available out there. You're mad not to. We're living a golden age now, a golden age where we've got so much information, YouTube, blog posts, business classes. And I think it's important more than ever to pay attention and get yourself booked on some of these courses. I've been on them.
Me too. I truly believe that if your transition personally from technician to business owner, you have to say, in my way of thinking about it, crazy as it is, if you haven't had the same amount of business training that you had technical training, are you a weaker businessman than you are a technician? Because the skills and arts of running a business are quite nuanced, and there's a lot of facets like there is to being technical, and it's one of those things I often look at new starts and fresh starts going into business. What you could save the pain and aggravation and distress and angst by having training up front to prepare yourself for opening up a business versus opening up a business and then being dragged along by it as you're trying to work it out how it works as you go along.
I can resonate with that, mate, 100%. I have been dragged for many, like I said, just because you're a decent tech or you're a good tech or you're good at fixing cars and figuring out diagnostic problems does not mean you're a good businessman. I can testify for that. I am not a good businessman. I have had I've made so many mistakes, and I continue to make mistakes, and I continue to learn and evolve and get better. And it's funny because when I grew the business so rapidly, so quickly, everyone thinks, "Oh, this guy's a genius." Well, no, I just had an absolute wicked plan. I knew how to get there. Didn't mean I was any good at it, and I had no idea what I was doing when I got there. And I got to this zenith of like, oh, look at me, I'm turning over £500,000. I'm the guru. No, I fell apart completely because the pressure. I didn't have a plan. It wasn't structured. I grew so fast I couldn't cope. And I just thought, right, okay, employ more tech or do this and do that, and with that come more pressure. And I didn't know what I was doing. So I can't emphasize enough. Get help, get training. Just because you're a good tech, just because you're a fantastic guy, whatever you do, running a business, the skills in running a business, the skills in leadership are far different than we are fixing cars. Yes. Don't underestimate it.
No.
Don't be dragged along.
Yeah, don't be dragged along. No, thinking you won't be. Yeah, that's really cool. Listen, David, one of the things you said there, which is really interesting, and I want to pose. It's a bit of it's a deep old question. What is the barrier to a strong independent garage being more expensive than the dealer? So we're going, we shouldn't look at our neighbours who are charging less. We can sort of look up the chain and go, well, the pinnacle, if you like, at the top of the triangle is the dealer. What stops a garage offering better value? As you know, you and I know, both in terms of diagnostics, if you've got a problem with a vehicle, there's a very set procedure inside the dealer network that may not garner the best result for the customer in some cases, where going to a good independent gives a much better result, much better value for money. What prevents a strong independent garage from being more expensive than the dealer?
Having a big pair of balls.
Yes.
I think it comes down to that. The great thing, and what you asked this question before, we kind of brushed on it, and you went, "What is it that gets you going? What gets your juices going?" James, we can do what the hell we want, and we've got this canvas where we can paint our masterpiece. And I think if you create a brand, and if you create a team, and if you create a culture, an ethos in that business, and you've got so many tools at your disposal, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, you can really market yourselves as brand ambassadors for that area. There's no reason why you can't overtake the main dealers, because the service in which we provide, it blows them out the water. It really does. They can't serve you. And the beauty as well, the great thing is, the main dealers are spending hundreds of thousands of pounds on marketing every year, are bringing customers in. And Mr. Jones rings them up and goes, "Got my Audi A4 engine management light on. I'm going to Scotland next week. Can you get me in?" "Yeah, sure. I'll set the calendar for August 2025. And the guy's like,
"Yeah."
So they're getting all these people in, and there are tools now, marketing tools, where you can capture these people, get them into your business, serve them better, fix the car quickly, offer them better coffee, offer an equivalent, if not better, waiting room. Someone at the front of house who actually knows what they're talking about, who's worked on your car. You can go into the workshop, speak to the guys that work on your car. You have this direct relationship. You've got a fantastic GMS. So you've had the same video walk round. You've got people in beautiful workwear. Well, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. So to answer your question, the only barrier is your own imagination and how big your balls are.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I've got a subtle side thought in terms of that, because you mentioned earlier on about when you were back in ADS and you were charging a decent hourly rate to fix the diagnostic job. It always charms me in terms of thinking about the way the customers measure. Sometimes they come to you and they talk about the hourly rate as a comparator, and they might use that because they don't know any other difference. And what I'd written down there in terms of that discussion was, is it really anything to do with the hourly or the labour rate, or is it more about the effective cost of the repair? So to the end user, where a dealer might get it wrong and go, "Well, do you know, you've got an AdBlue fault on there. Actually, what we need to do is replace this part, and then we'll let you have it back and see if that works. And if not, then we're going to come have it back, and then we'll replace this part." So they're on a never-ending churn of, maybe replacing parts to try and solve the problem. But you're
roulette wheel,
yeah, and it's exactly, shooting parts, the parts cannon, where essentially, your effective cost of the repair, even if you're a higher hourly rate, would deliver better value. And are we constrained a little bit by that measure? So if the yardstick is about how good they are, it's the hourly rate. Is the conversation more about the effective cost of the repair, rather than we don't really care about the hourly labour rate, because if they're no good, if you get a garage on a cheaper hourly labour rate that can't do it, they're going to be more expensive in the long run. Is there a piece of work to do that takes us away from hourly rates and into effective repair?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think one simple. My way of answering that question is quite simple. I'd flip that on the head and go, okay, if you're attracting those sort of customers, I think your marketing strategy is all wrong. I think if you've got someone who comes into your business, say, "What's your hourly rate?" That's the kind of customer I won't want to work for. I think if you're successful in conveying a message of first-time repair, of success, of this beautiful solution for your vehicle, I think we'll ask that question. In fact, we don't ask that question anymore. The question I've not heard for a long time: "What's your hourly rate?" I've not heard that for a long, long time. Maybe because I'm probably not answer the phone anymore, but generally the feeling that I get is not something that we're often asked. And I think, again, if you are successful in the way you market your business, and with the feedback and the Google reviews, Trustpilot reviews, your internet, your website in itself, where the customers land on into the business, be it front of house, into your workshop, if it's well presented and it's professional and it's efficient, I think they'll ask more focused questions. And we like to deliver better value as opposed to talk about hourly rates. And like I said before, James, you and I both know the value of our repair would far exceed what some competition can offer. And I think they need to focus on, like I said, the value and the cost saving.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. In your previous comment then, David, we also mentioned some of the challenges about, what's coming up in business. If we look at Futurescape, and we mention the dreaded two letters that strike fear into the heart of everybody, or nobody, depending who you listen to, is EV. EV preparedness in your own businesses, or your perspective on, how that's going to, what's the impact now, and what do you think that looks like in a sort of 2 or 3 year trajectory, and what are you doing, as a business to either adopt or not adopt, or what do you see when we talk about EV? How does that impact on the ADS empire?
Well, James, for me personally, and these are only my own personal feelings towards the whole matter, absolutely nothing. I have not geared up, trained, or equipped myself to look at EV vehicles, because I do not believe it is, again, please, this is very subjective. Some of it's based on a little bit of data, but I don't believe, for us personally, EVs are worth the investment. We have a basic level of training, but in terms of investment in the workshop, I've not done anything. I personally believe the future lies in hydrogen cell cars, direct petrol. I think AdBlue's breathed a sigh of relief to the diesel aftermarket with the emission legislation, although it is a complete cock-up. I mean, if we look at garage, I know you're privy to the information as well, but look at garage trends and the production of EV cars. I think the cat is out the bag, and I think people are starting to realise that the actual carbon footprint of manufacturing these electric cars, and actually where electric comes from, because it's not powered by fairy dust or of the force, actually comes from carbon fuels. I think people are starting to realise that it's not as clean as what they say it is. Look at last week, the fire at Luton Airport, shut down an entire airport. It's causing havoc out there. And we haven't got, you and I both know, we haven't got the national infrastructure to support EV on a wide. I think it's got a place in the market. I think it's got a fantastic place. For me personally, ADS, it doesn't, there's no, nah, not for me, man.
No, you're not seeing.
No, just not yet.
No, just not yet. Yeah, maybe just not yet. No. So with what it could be it could be a time cycle thing then, David. It could be just that at the minute penetration into. If you look at, we did some stats for Automechanica back in the summer, and 97% of all vehicles on the road have got no electrification in them at all. And if you look sometimes at the sales figures that come out, we have to be realistic and go, yeah, do you know what? Diesel sales, new sales have declined immensely, and they're down in the single digit numbers. Petrol engine sales are pretty strong still, and they're near the 50%. And then the balance of the sort of 45% of new vehicles sold are some form of electrification. And then I go, okay, some form of electrification, tell me more. So some of those are battery electric vehicles, great. But a big proportion of those are mild hybrids, right? Okay, mild hybrids, right? Plug-in hybrids, okay, awesome. And full hybrids, right? So they've all got internal combustion engines. So when you factor that back into the mix of the proportion of vehicles that have still got suck, squish, bang, blow going on, some proportion of electrification is coming undoubtedly, but is it ready? I think the thing I did in Automechanica was preparing for the flood whilst the tide is out. Well, I questioned, did you need ankle wellies or waders? And I think in the conversation, if high rise Crocs might protect you from the flood that's coming from EV.
There's two ways to look at that. That's only my personal feeling towards the matter. EV presents a huge opportunity for independent repairers. Because there are millions of cars out there running EV and not many people to repair them. So I think your slice of the cake will be far larger. I really do. If you were to have Matt Cleveland, for example, if you were to have a specialist EV business, you would be a wealthy man. I really do. Because there are not many people repairing it, equipped, trained, or able of dealing with it. And like I said before, there's lots out there. The reason why I've shun away from it is because I know the truth and I'm not happy about it. And it's a very personal feeling. And I'm letting my heart overrule my head. If I was savvy and smart, I would train, I would invest, and I would hone in on it. And I might yet. But at the minute, I'm just kind of stood on the fence, watching and learning, listening more. But I think my decision has been based on emotion as opposed to sense. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It does indeed. It does. I think you look at this, look at the numbers, and look at your market. I think we can all do that little bit of.
It's huge.
Yeah, we can do that. What's coming through the door? What am I being asked for? And you can look at that in two ways. Well, if you're not marketing yourself as an electric vehicle, center, then you won't get that business. But hang on a minute. If the split in the Volkswagen Audi range have got this proportion of EVs, you will eventually have that proportion of EVs in your own business. So yeah, I think there's one of timing. I think there is the greenwashing, and the brainwashing, the green brainwashing, as we could call it, about it's the way forward. As you know, we've been deep into hydrogen. We're looking at the thing after the thing, and again, that sort of presents its own levels of interestingness. I think I get the funny feeling that somebody somewhere talked about internal combustion as being the bad thing that we need to change. And part of that could have been the emission scandal way before, so the brain made a promise, that the body can't keep up with that there is infrastructure problems, there's production problems, there's adoption problems, there's cost problems, there's lots of problems with EV.
The simple solution, the simple answer, James, again, in my humble subjective opinion, saving the trees and saving the world oceans is not what makes the world economy go round. It's the black stuff being dug out of the ground. And the people digging it out are very rich and powerful and influential. And I think they are squeezing certain knackers in certain governments to carry on manufacturing petrol and diesel cars because there's so much money to be had from it. I just believe that's what's really driving the decisions being formulated. If we were sensible, we would use an abundant fuel source, which is easy to make, and hydrogen, for example. We should be going towards the future. But unfortunately, I think a lot of people in influential places will be losing a lot of money and revenue, and they can't let that happen, can they?
Maybe not. No, there is that as that part of the agenda.
Am I being sceptical, James?
No, it's real life, David. It's real life. It needs saying. Yeah.
I think so.
Right. So we are at a point where I'd like to talk to you about your future. So future scope. If you had a magnifying glass telescope that looked into the future a little bit, what direction, where are you going as a business? What do you see the future holding? Maybe if we sort of shortish to medium 3 year, what does the landscape look like, David? What could you share with us about your future?
I think first and foremost, I want to maintain this path of keeping healthy, maintaining the great feeling where I have at home. I think putting myself first. The business, I want to walk out. I'm 42 now, James. And be honest with you, I don't want to work past I'm 50. So I have got an exit strategy. I have got a plan. And I have got a rough idea where I'm going to be in 3 years' time. I am training. I have got a wonderful team around me. I've got fantastic people around me who I am training and mentoring into becoming leaders, taking control of the business. I want to be a consultant. I want to spend more time helping people. I've shown a real interest in the mental health element and helping people on a personal level and reaching out with people. And I've become a little bit synonymous now with the industry for that. And I feel privileged and honoured to be in that position. So I want to do more of that, help more people, be on a consultancy basis or charity basis. I couldn't really care less, but I want to help people as much as I can. So yeah, see myself out of the business, more of a consultant. ADS, the business needs to be, I'm currently involved with a very exciting, completely new, new to us, not new to the world, marketing strategist. I'm working with a marketing company. I've been able to target more servicing work and grow the workshop. I want to leave ADS as a perfect working model, and then I'm trying to emulate that. Will I buy another garage? I don't know. I had 3. I got rid of 1 through some challenges. I've now got 2. I seem to be managing my life all right. I've got a great, and I've got to give credit to the team because they're there 7:30 every morning, opening up the doors, dealing with the customers, getting cars in and out in the cold and the wet and the sunshine. So they're relentlessly working hard. I have a lot more freedom now where I can, like today, been to the gym today, James. PT session on a Friday. I'm back boxing again. I'm picking up the kids from school. A bit more time with the family. So I'm enjoying the freedoms that I've always strived to achieve. ADS direction, keep investing in what I believe to be the right going forward. So I think direct petrol, diesel technology, for sure. I'm thinking about EV, James. What I'm going to do, I genuinely don't know yet. I'm kind of on the fence because I don't agree with the the way it's being sold and this kind of false promise about it being clean. For me, unless it's genuine, authentic, I try to shun away from it. So again, it's a good business investment, a good opportunity, but one I'm kind of shying away from. So yeah, really, it's get the business right, get the marketing done right, get a nice steady flow of work, leave it in a perfect working order, and let someone else mess it up. I want to be financially free. I want a good pension scheme. I want to be healthy. First and foremost, I want to be healthy. I've had a big scare this year, and I almost bloody wasn't here in January. I had pneumonia when I really wasn't well at all, so I almost snuffed it then. So as long as I'm still here in 3 years, I'm happy and healthy. Good enough for me, mate.
Yeah, no, and some very sage and wise words there, I think, David. Yeah, inspirational. Yeah, freedom, financial freedom. Building that model again, I think we'll see that's your master plan to get that, set that business up, which you have done now. Systemization of that, I think of it often as the McDonaldization of a business, where you don't need to be told how to make a burger. There is a system, there's a process. If you've got training in how to do it, you should be able to execute that relentlessly to the same quality, and you can swap people in and out of different roles. Systemization for me is probably the most freeing aspect of any business. It's a bit tricky to do. It takes a little bit of time and effort to do that, but that's, I think, sounds like that's the way you're shaping ADS to have systems and systemization, so you've got the ability to step away. Yeah, it sounds awesome.
I should ask you the same question, buddy, really. What's your plan? And when are you going to give us young whippersnappers a chance at doing some training, eh?
Yes. Really good question. I'm still enjoying it. I joke often, David, that I am semi-retired already, so I'm sticking in this so I don't start.
You're not semi-retired. You're bloody busy as ever. You're always up to no good.
So I won't be barking at the moon. Otherwise, what would I do? I mean, I love it. So I don't know. I've got some loose ideas. I'm beaten to death at the minute with a fairly mighty software project. To be honest with you, David, I need to be flat out all the time. Otherwise, I'm going to get bored or something's not going to happen. So a 2-year software project's coming to some level of fruition. We should have an alpha release. It's sort of revolutionary diagnostic-y stuff. We've got the training here and the new sort of courses that are coming up. I just love to be busy. So as if I wasn't busy enough, the podcast was another. Do you know what? I reckon you've got a few hours to squeeze that you could get off the ground an industry-leading podcast. Why not? So I love it. Yeah, I really do. And to be honest,
I know that, James. I know that. I know what makes you tick, mate.
Yeah, and we're looking for the Andy Crook and I are good buddies. We shared the room up at Automechanica, and we got to talking one night. As you know, I went alcohol free a couple of years ago, and we were sat.
How's that going?
Really good. Yeah.
Still alcohol free.
Still alcohol free. Yeah. Still alcohol-free. So partly the Atomic Habits way of life, and we must mention the book club. So the Aftermarket Book Club that Jen at HR Vitals is setting up. One of the books on there for the reading list. So if you've not seen it, check out. It's going to be launching. It's to do with Ben, and it's about encouraging people to read books and get involved in that type of future development. But the Atomic Habits is a book written by a chap which talk about if you're trying to be a high achiever, you can do whatever you want in your life. You just have to give something up or swap something. So one of the things I did, gave up the alcohol after the COVID because it got a bit habitual and still going on. I'm a pretty stubborn geezer. That's what made me good at Diag, is I would never give up, like a dog with a bone. And the alcohol thing's very much like that as well. So really it's about, Crook and I were sat one night, like we would normally do it over malt whiskey. We did it over fizzy water and milk. And we were thinking about where is the next Frank Massey coming from? Who do we see rising through the industry to take the mantle to drive that forward? And there's no real conclusion, but we've got a bit of a plan in terms of trying to support youngsters coming up through. And there are a few people that probably could do, one thing that I definitely missed was a bit of mentorship. So you've mentioned support networks, the like of Andy Sav and Alex Lindley there helping us. Yeah, that we're hoping that there's some way, shape or form that we can do that for the next generation of technical bod that can come in and drive the market, because when you move away from the big boys, smaller independent training companies that have got quality and really the garage's own development at heart are few and far between. There's a lot of supermarket training. There's a lot of stuff that really, like you not believing in EV, I don't believe they're offering the right service. And we're looking, casting our eyes upon who's going to be next. And if I could in some way contribute to, the next Frank Massey getting going and starting to lead technical training and development, that would be for me. My son is not interested remotely. He's got more brains than I have. Cars and stuff are not for him. So we don't have a family interest that way. But no, for me, David, I think it's about trying to find the next group of people that can lead the industry and develop it and bring it on. The independent aftermarket's immensely important for the mobility and future mobility of Joe and Joe Public. Joe and Gene Public, there's got to be an aftermarket to give them a very good way of maintaining and running a car, reasonably and successfully and reliably. So I believe in it. It's a critical part of it.
Yeah, very, very much so. And, for me, I know you share the same feelings, the same things make us tick. And we have a passion for this industry. And I've been brought up with it. I've been raised by it. I've spent every school holiday in memory, because my mother and father, childcare was non-existent, so you had to go work with your dad. I've got pictures of me working on Range Rovers, changing plugs when I was about 8 years old, even though I'm not much taller now. I've got pictures of me little feet sticking out the bonnet on a P38, and I'm like in there changing plugs. So it's kind of like brought up with this, and the industry's been very, very kind to my family, and it's been kind to me. And it's definitely that kind of transition and passing the torch on to the next generation. It's important that we find and also nurture these people, because it is a difficult industry, and it's difficult environment to be in at times. Lots of challenges, but if you look at our industry, James, if you look at the automotive industry, garage owning business, you've got to be an expert in marketing, HR, diagnostics, and not just diagnostics, but a wide range of diagnostic skills. Good judge of character, a mentor, business, a leader. There's so many different skills which you have to possess to run a modern day garage. It's not just a man in a shed with a spanner and working on cars. Those days have gone. Unless you're an expert in digital marketing, in front of house service, you're going to miss out on so much. I think there's opportunities there now to be involved in the garage, an amalgamation of all these skills. I think we've never been at a more exciting time, really. I think it's a very interesting place to be, and if you put the hard work in and you have a vision and a passion for it, I think it'll be very rewarding.
Yeah, true. I couldn't agree more. Listen, my old friend, we've been rattling on a bit, and we're coming to the point where I ask you the world famous question. Towards the end of our session, we love to give our guests the open question of the magic wand. So if you had the option to change one, so you've got one or two wishes depending on your imagination, you get to swoosh the magic wand and get to change something or some things for the better. So you can have one wish on the up swoop and one wish on the down swoop. Thinking about maybe the industry as we are today, your position in it, the stuff the stuff you see and observe, should it be able to be changed overnight with no impact and be very easy? What sort of things would you think should be changed or you would wish to change?
In the industry, I would like to change. I think public perception comes down to ourselves. So I think we must look at ourselves to drive the change rather than wish a magic wand. I would wish garage owners, business owners, to really value the true value which they have in their company, which is the people. The people element they've got working for them. I think they should be, because they're the stars, man. They're the diamonds. They are the people that are the lifeblood of your business. They are your business. And I think they should be looked after and cared for, paid better. They should be given better opportunities to learn, better opportunities to grow in the business, to have a profit share maybe. I know a lot of people who work in businesses and they are treated like dogs, especially in the I know I hit them with a stick and they deserve it, to be honest with you, but the dealers, they treat people like something they've treaded on. And I really think if we're not careful, we're going to have an even bigger crisis in our hands with technicians. So I would wage a magic wand and make sure that the people in charge, the money men, the clipboard men, the middle management, either ousted and got rid of, or they re-educate themselves and start to treat the people on the floor with greater respect. That's what I would change.
Yeah, and that is an awesome witch, and actually one that's within the gift of a sort of change of culture. So, and I agree, it is a big challenge and an issue. So yeah, we'll make that happen. So come Monday, yeah, that'll all be different, hopefully. If you're
all right, go.
If the magic wand is working, yes. No, that's...
Whilst we're at it, I mean, I can draw up a list. I've got a list here of things.
Yeah, my wish list. Oh dear, no, that's really no. I love that. That is pretty cool. So David, we've reached the end of our chat. We've rattled on a bit. We've covered some great subject matter. I really appreciate your candor, your wisdom, the benefit of your experience, you sharing the journey that you've been on. I'm absolutely sure you've been an inspiration to our listener who's going through some of the same stuff, who's maybe thinking about the direction of their own business, the emphasis, the impetus, the personnel view about health and well-being. So I'd like to thank you on behalf of the podcast for agreeing to give up your valuable time and come on and share your wisdom. It has been absolutely awesome.
Oh, mate, you're going to make me cry. Stop it. My thanks goes to you, brother. Thank you for your invitation, my friend.
No, it's lovely. Thanks a million. Thanks, David.
All the best, mate.
All the best.